Welcome back. You're still with us here on the Editors Roundtable. Time for Nigel to tell us why Chandrababu Naidu is making waves in stock markets as well. Nigel, tell us.
Any of you all had played basketball in your life? You all go down?
I mean, occasionally, but nothing serious.
So the MVP, right? The most valuable player. That was Chandrababu Naidu for this week. Not just in politics, but also for the stock market. So let's tell you about that. Let's pull up that picture of Chandrababu Naidu. He was the man of the week itself, right? He's got close to around 16 MPs. And he was a kingmaker, actually. And who would have thought? Now, there are a few stocks that are moving around based on the so-called Naidu effect. Heritage Foods, he's the promoter entity in there. And, just looking at it, well, the fundamentals as well of the company have been improving. Or that's what the street believes as well. So the last year they did around 11 rupees. But the next couple of years, the street believes that it's going to go to 22 rupees. So they believe there's going to be an improvement on ground. Looking at the valuations, even after this 50% move that we saw in this week itself, well, it trades at close to around 31 times. The 5-year average is around 29 times. So in that context, it's not very, very expensive. What is the street factoring in? How come the EPS goes up by so-and-so? They're expecting the value-added products, that was around 30%, to scale up to high 30%. How is that possible? Well, they have been mentioning this, in their con calls as well as in the presentation that they put out. Also, they had some high-cost inventory of, SMP. And out there as well, they are expecting that, in fact, that high-cost inventory will be out of the way. And if you just look at the margins, well, they've come down drastically to around 5% in comparison to around 11% odd. So both of those are the triggers that are going to be working for it. And that's why the margins are expected to improve from here. And that's why the EPS as well is expected to move from here. Well, next up, let's move to Amara Raja. You have Mr. Gala, who was a TDP member. He was also a member of parliament from Guntur. This time around, he wasn't, standing for elections from out there. But in fact, there is that bit of the TDP play, so to call it, for Amara Raja. Besides that, besides the core business, they're also talking about cell manufacturing facilities. And the cell manufacturing facility, well, that's something that is likely to come on stream in the second half of FY26. The capex that they've laid out is close to around 1,200 crores. They're talking about an asset turnover from around 1.3 to around 1.4 times odd. So that's going to be the key trigger fundamentally that we're looking forward to. In terms of valuations, the stock has gone up big time. But it still trades at around this, 24 or 22 times odd. So that's on the valuation chart. Moving to the cement and the infra themes then. The street believes that Mr. Naidu is pro-development. And because he's pro-development, cement will do well, construction as well will do well. So there is that pro-development agenda that's likely to come. And remember, when he was last in the hot seat as a CM, Amravati, that was the capex plan that the street was looking forward to. But when he lost the elections, well, then that complete plan went out of the window. So they're hoping this time around as well, the Amravati big capex plan will come on stream again. And because of that, you've seen stocks like KCP, you have Ramco, Sagar Cement, all of them. Well, that's their capacity that they have in Andhra Pradesh as well as Telangana. And that's the percentage of their total capacity. So as you can see at the bottom of your screen, these three companies, in fact, 80 to 100% of their capacities are in this region. So they could stand to gain. The other couple of names, NCCA and KNR Constructions, both of them saw a big rally this week. A lot of factors out there. But just to highlight three factors, one is that Amravati capex plan that we're talking about. There were also some pending dues that didn't come about. The street believes this time around they'll get cleared out. So pending dues will get cleared out. And besides that, you have the fresh orders that could come about. So you have Heritage Foods, where he is the promoter entity. Amara Raja, there's a bit of a TDP connect out there, and there's a fundamental reason as well. And cement, as well as infra companies, they could stand to gain. Undoubtedly, the MVP of the last week was Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. Well, Nilesh, let me come across to you. Any of these companies are you interested in? Do you all hold them? I mean, what a move you're talking about. Heritage Foods, in a single week, it goes up close to 50%. Yes. And the last time around as well, these are the same group of stocks that did well. In 2018, 2019, the Amravati capex plan, smaller cement companies will do well. What do you like from there?
So, well, we own Heritage Foods. That's the disclosure.
Lucky all.
Yeah, absolutely. It just looks like we're plain lucky. But we had owned it. We bought it about 3 months ago, and this was essentially more as an investment in the consumer space, and within the consumer space, the dairy space. And I totally agree that the business strategy essentially has tremendous potential. If they execute well, achieve well, the whole expansion in the value-added portfolio and the kind of earnings growth that you could see, purely because the dairy cycle had hit a trough a few quarters ago. So I think a combination of all of those things essentially kind of attracted us to that. We didn't honestly anticipate this event one bit. So we were plain lucky. I still think they execute really well.
Yeah.
So I think there's still probably some more potential, some more way to go. The rest, we haven't looked at it in a very constructive way, but I genuinely believe that you're going to see a lot of infrastructure activity in Andhra Pradesh. Probably that state has not got its fair share in the last 10 years or has been languishing. The fact that you're going to build a new capital, that's going to involve investments of thousands of crores. I think, yes, the construction space should do well out there.
You know, and a couple of these infra themes, you know, I've been speaking to a few analysts because cement is my core, but for infra, you know, I need to check around. And a lot of the sell side and buy side guys, they said, you know, the plan that he had was beautiful because they had gone there 2017, 2018, 2019. And there was an element of how he wanted to make Amravati something like Singapore and, you know, those kind of comparisons. And all of them went out of the window. And the problem was when Mr. Jagan Reddy came on the hot seat, he cancelled some of those projects and some of the dues as well were not released.
Yeah.
So some of these companies went through a very, very hard time. So we'll have to see how that goes this time around. But for this week itself, some of those cemented infra names did rather well.
Absolutely. And hopes as well, right? Maybe some sort of a package, a special status, a further sort of, you know, fiscal largesse. Maybe if it comes from New Delhi, then it could only.
And he's been known as a pro-development person. You know,
did you guys listen to the speeches today?
Absolutely.
So Nitish Kumar.
That was the best. I thought Nitish Babu was the best.
He said he looked straight at the Prime Minister. He said, हम तो काफी टाइम से बहुत कुछ मांग रहे हैं, अब तो मिल ही जाएगा. So, I mean, you know, trust Mr. Nitish Kumar to.
सब साथ हैं, हम सब साथ में काम करेंगे, एकदम साथ हैं.
What an exciting election, right? I mean, fabulous. We were in
You
studio.
mean exciting? It was a boring election, but an exciting result.
Exciting result. Exciting result. I mean, in 2004, I wasn't, you know, very, very active in terms of tracking politics or the markets. But you know, just reading up, and both these two gentlemen, Mr. Naidu as well as Mr. Kumar, they were part of that cabinet as well. But at that time, they were senior members. And then suddenly they went into, you know, into a bit of a lull when Mr. Modi came up. And now suddenly they're back in the hot seat. Both of them supporting Mr. Modi and forming NDA 3.0. So good times, I think, for the market.
Lots of bonhomie today. Wide smiles in those, you know, camera shots that we were getting from the parliament. But you know, just to, you know, sum it up and coming to final thoughts, Nilesh. Now, the issue is what you have, like you have a heritage food, it's great. Someone who's, you know, running a BHEL or a ABB, maybe they don't have to think much. The question is, where do you allocate? So help us break it up. For every new 100 rupees that has to go into the market now at 23,300, how would you split the pie?
So I think I would still believe that the three big pillars or the big three places where you would want to allocate will be the financials and the consumer pack. Obviously, in both, you need to obviously be bottom up and select your set of stocks. But I think both these sectors or themes have essentially long-term compounding opportunity. Consumer and financials. Third, of course, is essentially this whole what I call as the EMI space, the energy manufacturing and infra as a space. I think that space essentially still looks very, very good. And lastly is a combination of niche technology services and online plays, online consumer plays, companies which are essentially creating good online platforms and essentially selling those products or services to consumers. I think this as a pack will continue to receive a fair share. The area where you need to be very careful, I still think, is PSUs. That probably you might see some speed breakers in terms of the uptrend or the rallies there. I think there one still probably should exercise some caution.
Okay, all right. And guys, how excited are you all about India taking on Pakistan on Sunday after last night's performance? I'm a little more afraid actually because these guys are hurt now. They could come back, but it's going to be a scintillating Sunday evening. So I'm looking
There's a
forward.
French Open final also.
But I think India versus Pakistan, you know.
Beats that's true. I'm glad it's happening after election season is done, so you can go back to just
Make sure you make it to studio on Monday because that India versus Pakistan is ending at 12:30 at the night.
On Sunday, there is also the swearing in.
Yes. I mean,
Correct.
that is most important.
that is most important. We'll
It's
watch
6 and then 8, so you have your time.
Well, we have our weekend cut out. I think plenty to do at the end of what's been a phenomenal roller coaster week. Thank you so much, Nilesh, for joining in. Great to have you here. And with that, it's curtains. I think it's time for us to take our viewers' leave as well. It's a wrap on this edition of Editors Roundtable. Don't go anywhere. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.